Few things can match the excitement of putting your first golf trip to Scotland or Ireland on the calendar. But before any first-time traveler can get to that point, there's a lengthy list of decisions, reservations, and other plans that must be put into place. It's easy for first-time travelers to get bogged down in the sometimes monumental task of putting it all together. Not to mention the added and usually self-imposed pressure of creating that perfect first trip for you and your travel companions. In this video, we'll share 10 tips to help keep your first golf trip across the pond in the fairway. Arguably the most important tip for your first golf trip to Scotland or Ireland is to begin the planning process earlier than you think. The marquee courses such as the Old Course at St. Andrews, Muirfield, Royal County Down, and Royal Port Rush usually release their tee times in the spring of the year prior to your trip, and they don't last long. This being your first overseas golf trip, there's a good chance your ideal itinerary includes at least one of these courses. To avoid disappointment, we suggest getting started around January of the year before your trip. For some first-time golf travelers, the invite list is already settled, but if your group isn't clearly defined, you'll want to remember an old adage before you hand out a single invite. One bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. We all have that one golfing acquaintance who manages to just drain the life out of our group. For the sake of your trip, make sure their invite is lost in the mail. The biggest mistake that many golfers make when embarking on their first golf trip to Scotland or Ireland is planning an overly ambitious itinerary. The tendency with the first trip is to try and squeeze as many big-name courses as possible into the time allotted. The bucket list golf courses, which most first-time travelers want to play, are spread all across Scotland and Ireland. But those same courses are also concentrated in several clusters within the two countries. Our advice is to choose the 2 or 3 regions that are most appealing to your group and play all of the marquee courses within those areas. The other regions will be waiting for your next journey across the pond. Transportation is often an overlooked consideration for overseas golf trips, but there's far more to this challenge than simply getting from point A to point B. Even within a single region, you may have a commute of an hour or more each way to a particular course. For this reason, the majority of H&B travelers opt to hire a driver host for their expeditions. They'd just rather sit back, enjoy the view and camaraderie on the ride, and let a local deal with driving on the other side of the road. What's better? Each and every year, our travelers list the driver host as one of the best parts of their time across the pond. During your first overseas golf trip, you're going to get your steps in. Golf carts, or buggies as they're called, are virtually unheard of in Scotland and Ireland. It's a good idea to prepare your body in the months leading up to your trip. Take some long walks or carry your own bag for the occasional 9 holes. The trade-off to the lack of golf carts is actually an upgrade, because at virtually every course across the pond, you'll have the opportunity to take a caddy. And just like your driver host, your caddies are certain to be among the highlights of your trip. Most travelers will play more rounds in the span of a week-long golf trip than they might over a few months or even longer back home. That many rounds can eventually take a toll on both the mind and body. For this reason, you should consider taking a day off the golf course. We know that's easier said than done, especially when it's your first trip, but at the end of it all, your body, and probably your scorecards, will appreciate the rest. Another common mistake golfers make when planning their first golf trip to Scotland or Ireland is putting all of the emphasis on golf and not much else. Ask any H&B traveler and they'll tell you that the time off the golf course is just as important to your overall enjoyment of the trip as your time on it. Whether it's a guided tour of Dublin, a personal whiskey tasting at Glenmorangie, or marveling at the Giant's Causeway, no journey is complete without enjoying the history, culture, and people of your destination. For many, the first golf trip to Scotland or Ireland delivers a rude introduction to links golf. During the course of your trip, you're certain to encounter a variety of shots that you wouldn't dream of playing back home. Our advice is to spend a few sessions on the range practicing your bump and run, keeping it low in the wind, and lengthy lag putts. By the time your departure date arrives, your game will be ready, and your travel companions won't know what hit them. At the end of every H&B expedition, we ask our travelers if there's any advice they'd like to pass along to those making their first golf trip across the pond. Without question, the most common advice is just 2 words: pack less. Cooler weather often means that some articles of clothing can be worn more than once. But there's another, more common reason why you should pack less than you think: souvenirs. Along the way, you're all but certain to pick up a variety of golf shirts and other fashionable keepsakes. Leave the extra clothes at home and put your purchases to use during the trip itself. Finally, it's important to remember that sometimes stuff happens. It just comes with the territory these days with travel. If something goes sideways with your trip, it's important to stay in the moment, work through it quickly, and not let those momentary blips get in the way of enjoying your journey. Because your first golf trip across the pond will be over before you know it.